Welcome back to the Women and Girls in STEM podcast series by the Ecobank Foundation and the Global Partnership of Education. Women and girls are challenging the status quo, and in this edition, I'm happy to bring to you Araba Abban, the Group Executive for the Consumer Banking Business at Ecobank. She was once Head of Global Shared Services Center, West and Central Africa at the Standard Chartered Bank, and also General Manager for Personal Lending. Having held various positions in institutions which include the Royal Bank of Scotland and the State Street Bank, she has gained experience in product portfolio management, product accounting, banking operations, and talent development.
Over the past decade, especially since the dawn of the COVID-19 pandemic, digitization has become an inevitability. It's an integral part of every thriving organization today. And of course, within the banking context, it's no different. Today, a significant proportion of our banking products and services are delivered through digital channels. The business of banking today leverages technology significantly. Ecobank, we have a presence in over 34 countries within Africa, and we're also in some markets outside of Africa, and we are able to deliver seamless services to our customers and indeed our various stakeholders across all these geographies, primarily because of our ability to leverage technology. When you think about ICT and STEM, clearly, as our context is changing, as the dependency for success of these organizations in this industry are changing, indeed, so must our resource base, our talent base evolve. So we are finding that employees with a background in ICT and STEM are increasingly contributing significantly to the organization by the way in which they employ their critical thinking and problem-solving skills. And these skills, of course, which they acquire through their education, are critical for organizations such as ours to thrive, because with innovation we thrive. And without a curious mind, without critical thinking and problem solving, it will be next to impossible to innovate. So definitely resources, employees, talent with an ICT and STEM background are integral to our success today. I just could not remember dates to save my life. And actually, this was evident in my history test results, typically hovering between 39 and 42%. But really, I had an extremely hard time, obtaining a decent grade in a subject such as English literature, which at the time was compulsory in my secondary school. So, I had to really work hard to get a decent grade. To get through that. However, I was happiest when I was solving mathematical problems and trying out the latest experiment in chemistry, and actually both my parents encouraged me to be curious and to use that curiosity for good. At a young age, I had a passion for humanity, and I still think I do, but really at the time, I wanted to solve health-related problems. And so I set my heart on becoming a pharmacologist. That is what I thought would really enable me to touch humanity the way that I thought best. But little did I know that biology at A-levels, now A-levels is one of the entry requirements for a university degree at the time, right? And I had to read biology for my A-levels. And that required a whole lot of reading. And it turned out to be an uphill task. I struggled. However, I remember vividly, my biology teacher, she used to turn up for classes in two different halves of, her pair of shoes. One would be blue, the other one would be black, Sometimes she would walk into class with makeup on one eye and not on the other. I remember all these things. So as you can imagine, my level of concentration in biology classes was at best substandard, right? And this really showed up very proudly in my abysmal A-level grades. I mean, I did so badly in biology, it wasn't, I couldn't even write it on paper. But really flunking my biology was a big blow. And I thought long and hard about what the future would hold for me if I abandoned my pharmacology desire. So upon sober reflection, I decided to pursue my first love, which actually is mathematics. And as soon as I started my university degree in mathematics, stats, and ICT, I knew I had made the best decision ever. You know, my most exciting subject of mathematical problem solving. And 3 years at university flew by because it was such fun. You know, after that, I started my career in banking. That was soon after university. And you know, I haven't looked back since. Whilst at work, I started studying for a certification in accounting, ACCA, had to work through that, and then an MBA as well. Now, studying and working was tough, but it was fulfilling because fundamentally, the core of what I was pursuing was problem solving. And I could, you know, readily apply what I call a mathematical thinking process. And for me, that was very fulfilling. And I'll say that if you're true to yourself and go after what naturally comes to you, you seldom go wrong. The environment in which a child grows up certainly has a large influence on their outcome, you know, as an adult. And for young girls, it's necessary to have the combined effort both at home and in the community to emphasize the opportunities available for them or to them in the STEM fields, okay? Of course, parents are every child's educators, right? And it's important that they are encouraged in their life at a young age to build a mindset of curiosity and consistent learning. Before a young child fully understands the various subjects that they are taught at school, it's at home that they first learn what is and what is not acceptable. And for this reason, I believe that parents really need to nurture the drive to explore within their children. They should let them be curious, leave them to be curious, especially with girls who are historically sadly have perhaps received the shorter end of the stick, right? But as parents and guardians in society, we should let children feel safe and supported in their quest to learn the whys, the hows, you know, the way things are done. And this constant habit of learning, I believe, this constant habit of questioning can gradually blossom into an interest in tackling real world problems through, various careers, fields such as science, such as technology, such as engineering. Not to say that you don't need to be curious if you are not STEM inclined, but I think that really nurturing that curiosity sets young children on the right path, especially girls, to explore careers in this field. The teachers, you know, come into the picture really to solidify the girl child's growing interest, right? By not only imparting that required knowledge, but also engaging these female students in practical exercises, experimentation, availing themselves for additional support as needed, etc. So that, you know, through this consistent guidance and the provision of resources, the passion in these fields of study can really develop and blossom. And over time, these careers can be realized. And finally, I'll say for the community or at the community level, it's important for us all to keep holding a space for these conversations around STEM education. So platforms such as this podcast series, for example, you know, the general media and whatever activities in our local communities, I think are all integral to really creating an environment for girls to blossom in STEM. You know, we've seen the enrollment of girls grow exponentially in STEM-related courses, certainly probably the mid-90s, early to mid-90s. And I believe that opening this conversation and supporting these efforts through activities such as funding women-focused STEM boot camps, funding and organizing or facilitating projects, offering internships where possible, all these will go a long way to positively impact that trajectory of women in the STEM domain. The world today, you know, of course, the world has changed dramatically from what it was 10 or 15 years ago. And certainly 40 years ago when I was still, a pupil, right? I was still young. There's incredible innovation today being birthed by young people. And really, there's no limit to what you can achieve as a young person. Encourage your child to achieve as a parent, your daughter to achieve. There's no limit if only you believe that you can. As young girls, must learn to train your mind and to explore your creativity through continuous learning and experimentation. You've got to be curious. You've got to, you must have the discipline to learn. But learning can actually also be fun, especially when you discover, what excites you. There's so much information available out there today. It's amazing what the internet has given us. Learning today is by no means what it was like, 30, 40 years ago when some of us were much younger and learning. So I think that you really need to train your mind to explore that creativity. And it's also critical for you to know that failure is part of the journey to success. And you are only considered a failure when you stop trying. So when you fall, rise again and keep trying, and you will get there. And, so at this point, I'll challenge each one of you, to strive in your generation to be that next wave of change, to be a part of that next change, that next wave of change in our world. 5 to 10 years, I'd like to hear that some of you who are listening to me today are a part of, some great change that is impacting lives, impacting society. And for parents, my ask is that we create an environment that encourages the children to explore their gifts and talents, which will make them travel this journey and to thrive.